Hey guys, it is actually Q&A Monday today, but as you may be able to tell from my surroundings, I'm not in the UK, I'm in New York City, baby. And so that means that time differences are all over the place. It's now 6 AM for me on Monday morning. Jet lag has kicked in and I'm wide awake, so I'm out on the skateboard just having a look around, answering some of your questions. So I've no idea when you'll get to see this, but this is a special USA New York City edition of AskElvis. Roll the sting. Cuista says, do you think basically that Daniel Ricciardo is going to stop slagging off Renault power units for the second half of the season whilst the rest of the Red Bull team continue to bash them publicly? It's a bit of a strange situation. It is a strange situation, and yes, 100% I expect that is what will happen. I kind of expect Daniel will make a bit of a joke out of it, probably, knowing the kind of character that he is. But yes, I fully expect him to stop doing that, knowing that he's moving to them as employers for next year. Adrian F. Lamas says that given the front wings of 2019 will be simpler and controlling less of the front tyre wake, will the teams have to completely renovate their barge board area as they've got less help, I guess, from the front wings? Well, the answer is yes, they will completely renovate and redesign the barge board area because actually they'll re-evaluate the whole concept of the aerodynamics that surround a Formula One car, because it all begins at that front wing. So the whole shape of the aero model that covers the entire Formula One car as it's travelling down the road is initially determined by that front wing. So if that changes, the whole concept therefore has to change. So expect lots of detail, lots of detail changes in the barge board area for 2019. I think cars will look, the front wings won't look a huge amount different. They will be different, but they're not going to be drastically different. But I expect some of the changes that follow on from that further down the car, like the barge board area, to be more important and more critical when we've got less of the outwash effect that we have now. Currently that front wing is designed to take much of that airflow and certainly the tyre wake outboard away from the car. We've got less opportunity to do that next year, and that means the barge boards will become more important in controlling that whole airflow off the back of the front tyre. So yes is the answer. Paul Wallin says, to what level and in which areas do teams cooperate with their coatings supplier, i.e. McLaren and AkzoNobel? Actually, coatings on components on a Formula One car are very important, and anything that can give you some kind of competitive advantage, which they can by lowering temperatures or deflecting temperatures or keeping high temperatures away from critical components, dissipating heat, all the different things that various coatings of different components do, they can give you a competitive advantage. The team will put an awful lot of time and effort and energy into maximising what they can get from their coating supplier. So the kind of areas that we're talking about are things like the coating around the exhaust tailpipe, for example. Some teams will have special bespoke coatings around those to try and protect some of that heat from dissipating and going into other critical areas like wiring harnesses, that kind of thing. Heat shielding is the same kind of process. Lots of teams will have bespoke heat shields around the edge of the power unit installation to protect things like cooling pipes and wiring harnesses and electrical components because the temperatures get so extreme. Similarly with brake calipers, of course, they will be coated in a bespoke product to try and make sure that they can maximise the efficiency, the thermal efficiency of each of those components, because it makes a difference. And whenever something makes a difference, a team will go all in with a supplier of a particular product to work with them, work at quite a high level with them, to make sure they've got something that will work specifically for their car. Paul Flynn asks, will McLaren be able to use their own wind tunnel again in 2019 because the front wings will be going back to in-wash front wings? This refers to that video I did a few weeks back talking about the effects of outwash front wings that we currently have and why lots of teams are struggling to use their own wind tunnels because of the effects of the so dramatic the effects of the outwash that actually the walls of the wind tunnel become a problem and start interfering with the outwash of that front wing. So for next year, of course, we reduce that outwash potential, and that's the key here. The regulations reduce the outwash potential. What they don't do is go back to in-wash front wings. We're yet to see exactly how that is going to manifest itself. My feeling is that no, we won't see a dramatic change in how teams use their wind tunnels next year. Full-scale wind tunnels are still banned for next year, so they're still using scale models, and for that reason most of the teams will still be using whatever solution they use now. For lots of them, that's the Toyota wind tunnel in Cologne in Germany. MMM-Bra1NZ says, since it's a summer break, what do the mechanics do in between races? Well, sorry, I've just gone through an absolute swarm of pigeons there. What do the mechanics do in between races? They go on holiday. It takes some much needed time off, and that's one of the beauties of this summer break regulation. They're forced to take some time off, which they otherwise just wouldn't be able to do. So as you can probably tell from the change of t-shirt, it's no longer Monday, it's now Tuesday morning, still about 6 o'clock, still can't sleep, but I didn't manage to get the video uploaded yesterday, so apologies. So I thought I'd come out this morning, try and wrap it up, and definitely try and get it uploaded for you today. So to finish things off, a final question from Van Archie, who says, how do the FIA control garage rules or enforce garage rules? Do they have the ability to stop mechanics from working if they believe something illegal's gone on, or does it get investigated at the end of the season? Well, what I guess he's referring to there most of all is the parc ferme conditions. So when the car goes into parc ferme, particularly so on a Saturday after qualifying, between qualifying and the race, the car's in parc ferme conditions, and therefore there's very limited amount of work that the mechanics and engineers can do to the car between Saturday, between qualifying and Sunday, race day. So what we used to have a steward or an official stationed in the garage who would literally watch over our shoulders as mechanics as we did any work on the car to make sure it was all done within the kind of permitted rules of parc ferme. So we have a set list of jobs that we were allowed to do, if you like, after qualifying and before the race. And there'd be somebody in the garage essentially kind of looking over our shoulders, making sure that only those jobs were being done. That has changed now slightly, because now we use cameras, modern technology, and now we use cameras in the garage to basically do pretty much the same kind of thing. So the answer to the question is yes, the FIA can stop the mechanics from working. They can interrupt what they're doing if they believe something illegal's gone on. Absolutely they can do that. It's highly unlikely because the teams are very well aware of what they can and can't do. They're also very well aware of the consequences of doing something that they're not allowed to do. So the answer is yes. In a broader sense, you know, when you're not in part ferme conditions, well, what happens is at every race when you turn up, the car has to go through a scrutineering process. So any work that's been done away from the racetrack or in the garages on a Wednesday or Thursday, for example, that's not so strictly monitored, but the car would have to pass scrutineering on a Thursday before a race weekend, where the officials do have a good look over it to make sure that all the seals are still in place that were put there from the last race, make sure there's nothing obviously illegal about the car at that point. So there are various checks, but the answer to your question is yes, if they believe something illegal is going on, they can stop a mechanic from working. It's a fellow electric skateboarder in New York City. There's loads of these things around, and electric bikes as well. Lots and lots of electric vehicles. Anyway, I am loving my holiday. I'm off to have a great time. I'll desperately try and get this uploaded for you today. But for now, that is it. Thank you for all your questions again. I'm not sure when you'll get the next video, but I'll try and do something over the course of this next week or so. But whatever you're up to, enjoy yourselves, and I will speak to you soon.